Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica. If you're new, it's so great to meet you. No. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica. If you're new, it's great to have you here. If you're returning, so good to see you again. I make content for growing families, and today's video is about how to not get divorced after you have a baby. Really, it's just how to not have your relationship end, or let's just talk about the hard stuff that happens to relationships when you have a baby that can hopefully help preserve your relationship and make the hard stuff feel easier. So I am a mom of 3. I'm in my 14th year of marriage. I also am a coach of mothers, and I lead an online community of parents, and I just have a lot of insight into how challenging it can be on a relationship to have a new baby. It's also magical, beautiful, totally worth it, and there is a stage where you feel closer than ever, which is why sometimes you see people have babies to save their relationship. There really is like a high that happens when you have your kid because there's so much love that you feel that it feels like, oh my gosh, it's you and me against the world. But then very often there is a new level of strain or tension that people experience, and a lot of us don't expect it, which can really throw us for a loop. The way I think about it is like if you have a paper bag when you go grocery shopping, maybe you go to Trader Joe's, you got a paper bag, it's a perfect bag, works great, but then you put way too many groceries in it and all of a sudden the bag breaks. What you need is like a second bag, right? So you need to double bag that thing for all the heavy groceries, and then the bag doesn't break. Marriage or your relationship is the beautiful bag, and it looks amazing and it has been great. And then you add a new baby or new babies, and that is the heavy load that your relationship has never carried before. And at times it feels like the load is going to break the relationship. And what I want to do is talk about ways that we can double bag our relationship so that it can sustain the heavy load of parenting. And I am somebody who didn't love parenting when I first started being a mom. I mean, I loved my daughter. I was crazy about her. And I made a video about this actually. If you want to type into Google, I don't like being a mom, you'll see me. Yeah, it was really hard for me to adjust to motherhood. In fact, I ended up very depressed and spent a bit of time getting some help in a mental health facility. And then I was fine again, and I have now had 2 more kids and I'm doing well. My marriage also went through its own tumultuous time. Now, I'm not going to tell you the personal details of my own marriage because it's the internet, and privacy is a place where a relationship can mend and be whole and healthy, and I recommend it. I recommend that if you are going through something really intense with the person you love, that you operate with a sense of privacy. For one reason, if you end up telling a bunch of people that you love about the horrible, awful things you guys are going through, and then you work through them, you now have a whole bunch of people who don't really like the person that you're with because they've only probably heard the really crappy stuff. So I would say operate with some privacy and some caution when it comes to who you share with and what you share with them when it comes to this relationship that matters so much to you. One thing I'll say from the front is that having a baby is a very major transition for a relationship. Obviously, it's a huge transition for you, mom or dad. You've never done this before, whether it's your first kid or it's your 6th kid. You've never had that many children before, and it's a lot on your mind, on your body, on your social life, on your work life. It affects everything, and it really affects your relationship. You guys are now figuring out how to be parents together, and it affects you both differently, and it's very intense. And it's important to realize that, because if you don't go into it knowing that this could be hard on you guys, then when it is hard, if it is hard, you might be like, oh, this is hard because I'm with the wrong person. This is hard because this person is really bad at this. And if I was with somebody else, this wouldn't be so hard. And what I would like to tell you after a lot of conversations with parents from many parts of the world, having a baby is a lot on every couple, whether it affects them really horribly or just a bit. It is just a major transition, and I want you to have realistic expectations about that, because it's also something that once you find your rhythm and your way and you have the hard conversations and you sort through all the issues, you end up on the other side of this feeling more bonded and stronger than you did before, because now you guys are united front with this beautiful child or these beautiful children that you've made, and it's a really special thing. For my own marriage, during a time when it was really hard after having babies, my husband said, when I look at our relationship, I see it as a very big book and we are just on a page. And yes, this page is hard. And it was one of those stages where like every time we'd come together to have conversation, which felt like we didn't have that many because we were so busy, so spread thin between work, between kids, between social life and moving and all these different things going on. It felt like anytime we connected, we like didn't hear each other right, and we would hurt each other's feelings, and something I would say would come off critical and something he would say would come off hurtful. And we would leave being like, whoa, what the heck? This person that I've been with for so long, I now can't find, like I can't connect with you. And my husband's perspective was like, this is just a page in a big book. We don't throw the whole book away because the page is a tough one. We can get through. And I really appreciated that perspective because I am such a feeler that when I'm inside it, it's almost like, oh my gosh, this is never going to be different. This is how it is, and this is how it's always going to be. And he's much more logical of like, no, we want to be together and we will figure this out. So perspective is really important when it comes to navigating conflict with kids, without kids, all of it. A piece of advice that I was given a few years back from a friend whose parents had been married forever and they love each other very much and they still really enjoy each other's company. They said that healthy people make a healthy relationship. And I really love that because what it means is that the priority isn't on you guys together figuring out how to be healthy, which is a lot of pressure. The priority is on you and me figuring out how to be healthy within ourselves, which I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know what you're feeling. I can do my best to listen and try to understand, but ultimately I am in my body. I know how I'm doing, and I am responsible to take care of myself, and you are responsible to take care of yourself. And if two people in a relationship are doing their best to take care of themselves, mentally, physically, socially, spiritually, then those things will be in place to then be able to navigate these relationship struggles that we all face at different times. So for me, what that looked like was making sure that I was moving my body, making sure I was resting. For a new parent, this is kind of absurd because our bodies just went through such a major transition, especially if we are the birth mother of the child, baby's coming out of our body. So we went through the pregnancy and then we went through labor and delivery and now we're going through recovery. It can be really tricky to be like, when do I rest and when do I move my body and how am I possibly going to survive being this tired? And then for the partner of that person, they're also going through major transitions, sleep deprivation, exhaustion, having to operate in ways they never have before. It's a lot on a body, but our job is to do our very best to try and take care of ourselves, to nourish our body, to eat well, to make sure we have a social life, to make sure we have a spiritual life. All of these things are important to keep us well as human beings. And when we are doing our best, and I'll also say for me, that meant getting a therapist. And also in our worst time, that meant Sean got a therapist, I got a therapist, and that would help us both to be well individually. And then we could have hard conversations and they were so much easier. So doing whatever you need to do, for some of us, that means getting a life coach. And I actually do life coaching now. And I would love to talk to you if you ever want to make like a one-on-one appointment with me. Yeah, I love this stuff. I love to be able to talk through how people are doing and help strategize about how we can do things better and feel better. And a lot of that has come out of my own struggles and struggles of people I love and wanting to learn a lot about how we can be well as people. So two people in a relationship taking as good of care as they can of themselves. You can't control your spouse and they can't control you. There's that becomes a codependency thing. There's a great book on this called Codependent No More if you want to read it. It basically is about being so kind of enmeshed in each other that you spend your energy trying to control the other person rather than just controlling yourself. There's also a book called Boundaries in Relationships. I believe they're pretty Christian, like the language. I recommended it to one of my moms and she was like, I don't know if I can read that. The language is like so Christian. I can't like get it. And I was like, that's fair. So she ended up reading the codependency book and really appreciating that one. It just depends on kind of the way your soul speaks, okay? There are a lot of books and podcasts out there that can be really good resources for you, and I will share some that have helped me and some that have helped people I love. A really great book if you guys end up encountering an affair in your relationship, or even just wanting to understand things like pornography and like why would somebody choose that when they say that they love you. There's so many complexities around relationship like that. There's a therapist, her name is Esther Perel, and she has a podcast. She's very famous now, so you probably know about her. But her podcast is Where Shall We Begin? Where should we begin? Where shall we begin? And you basically just listen into couples counseling sessions. And I find it so interesting. That's a bit of my personality though, is I just like to listen to that stuff and learn. So I've read her books, and the one, A State of Affairs, I found to be so enlightening. It's not like morally like shaming someone who has an affair. It's actually just kind of pulling affairs apart and figuring out why do they happen, what's going on in the one person, what's going on in the other person. I don't know, I feel like understanding is so valuable, and it takes away some of the shock factor when you hear stories of like, so-and-so did this. Can you believe it? And I would like to be in a place where I'm like, yeah, I can believe it, because we're all capable of so many things, even things we wish we weren't capable of. Be a really great resource if you find yourself needing that level of resource. Sleep deprivation is real. This is a point worth making because we do not feel our best when we're tired. And when we are new parents, we are so tired. And so some of this stuff is going to get better once our kids are sleeping longer. If you find yourself at a stage where like baby is eating enough during the day and playing enough during the day and could definitely be sleeping at night but just isn't, it might be a great time for you to explore the idea of sleep training, especially if you feel like it's taking a major toll on your mental health or your relationship. So for my first baby, we didn't do really serious sleep training that worked until she was over 1.5 years, and it changed my whole life. So then with my next babies, we sleep trained earlier, and around like 6 months, 5 to 6 months, and it has been such a gift, and my marriage is better for it. We're all sleeping, we're all happier. It's so much better. This next piece is interesting. So you could have an amazing relationship and then become parents, and all of a sudden all of these things come up that you never even knew to talk about, and it has to do with your parenting style, because sometimes you don't even realize you have a parenting style until you have a kid, and these things just come out of you, and you're like, oh, well, actually that's what my mom did, or this is the opposite of what my mom did because I didn't want to be like that, so now I'm doing this. And then the person you love is doing something totally different for their own set of reasons, and somehow you guys are like missing each other. So it's normal for parenting, just in general, styles to come up and you guys to have to talk through, why are you doing that? And what can be hard is sometimes it comes out critically, like, why are you doing that? I wouldn't do it like that. And then it can feel like you're parenting the other person, which is not a good feeling. And it sucks the love and the like attraction out of a relationship, because you don't feel attracted to a person that you're parenting, because that's not natural. And you don't feel attracted to a person who is parenting you, also very unnatural. So if you find that you're sort of parenting each other, you're very critical of each other, you're nagging each other, it's probably important to have a real conversation around some of the stuff and be able to express to the other person, hey, I feel like this when you do this. Could you help me understand your thoughts behind doing this? Would it be okay if we set this system up for how we take care of these kids together? All of that is hard. It's normal, and it gets easier over time. So just hang in there. Sharing responsibilities. So this is a piece that's really important, because if one of you feels like you're doing a lot, and the other feels like they're not doing enough, then there's going to be a weird resentment that takes place, and it makes the relationship really strained. So one piece is just asking for help whenever you can get it. We actually pay someone weekly to come and help clean the house really thoroughly. We obviously spend every day cleaning and cooking and getting the house back in order for it to get destroyed again a few hours later. But a gift that we prioritize in our budget is ensuring that we also have additional hands to come and help us with the house. Okay, beautiful, but still doesn't solve the problem if one of us is doing a lot and the other is not at all contributing to caring for these babies. A family that I really admire and look up to, they said that the way they did it was, before they had their sons, they had a conversation about the fact that whoever the stay-at-home parent is, which in this situation it was the mom, she would be on the clock working from 9 to 5 with the kids, working but staying home with the kids, the same exact hours that dad is at work on the clock at his job. So from 9 to 5, they're each working their separate individual jobs, but then from 5 to 9, meaning the hours that they're off work, they share every responsibility as much as they're able to. So obviously if you're a breastfeeding mother, there's not a lot of giving the baby to dad to feed unless you're doing, or to the other parent to feed, unless you're doing pumping and bottle feeding, whatever. But there is, like, if you are nursing and then you give baby to dad to change the diaper, there's a sharing there so that you can recover a bit. Maybe one parent is making food for the other parent that's tending to the kids. There's a whole bunch of ways that you can share responsibility, but it's important that these are conversations we're having rather than hoping the other person can read our mind and know, like, well, I wish that they would know that I need this. Well, I wish they would know that I need that. We're so running on empty when we have new kids. It's just not fair at any stage to wish the other person knew what we were thinking, but it's extra hard when we are sleep deprived. I don't know if you can hear my children crying. Okay, I'm gonna finish this up because I need to go share responsibilities with my husband. Something Sean and I did that I highly recommend and still do and think it's great is watch light things together. Watch something funny, watch trash TV. Have, like, if you like to read something together. I don't know, do something that's light. It's not a heavy conversation. It's not you guys trying again to fix your relationship. It can be so hard if everything you do together is heavy and it's about what's wrong and it's a struggle, especially if you're stressed about money or stressed about your kids or whatever it is. Do something where, like, for part of the day, you guys are just doing something light and hilarious together. Laugh together. It's so good for you to laugh. So for us, we like to watch stand-up comedy and laugh. We also, when we had our first baby, second baby, we watched The Office all the way through at different times, and it was so fun, and it was such a good, healthy distraction from our lives, and it bonded us because we love to just sit and laugh at nonsense. And then have friends. Guys, have friends. In fact, let me just take this beyond. Sometimes what we do, and we do it now more than ever, I think, in history, is we put an immense amount of pressure on our partner to be everything for us. We want them to be our best friend. We want them to be our soulmate. We want them to be our God, our sense of, like, value and dignity and purpose. We want them to be hilarious. We want them to be stable. We want them to be our adventure and fun and, like, trip to Greece. But we also want them to be our provider and the one who makes sure we have a nice home that is exactly what we need it to be every day. That is so much pressure on our relationship that it's no wonder we're falling apart constantly. I think a better way, and I'm learning this personally and I'm just observing it in the way we're doing life, is because we are such individualized people where we have our partner and then we're just like, whoop, we're in our house and we maybe don't even live close to family and we don't have friends, and then we end up isolated, depressed, and divorced. A better way would be to create community, cultivate community, reach out to old friends that we have, join an online group if you can't leave your house but you want to have friendship. In our Very Good Mothers Club membership-based community, we have weekly Zoom calls that we do. So moms from Australia, Spain, the States, Canada, call in and we chat together. And I lead one, we have other people who lead them, Dr. Julie Fernandez. If you've been on my channel before, you've seen her. Anyway, it's a great opportunity for people to not feel alone and to actually have real friends who know each other's kids' names and know their situations and can cry if something's hard or laugh when something is awesome. You need people, and we need people for many, many reasons, but one is so that we're not putting so much pressure on the person that we love to be our everything. And that's another reason why a spiritual life is so important, whatever that means to you. Some sort of relationship with someone bigger than you guys, to be able to say, like, I need help today. Thank you for health. Thank you for air in my lungs. Thank you that life is beyond these day-to-day struggles. It means more. It's about something more. For some of us, that means going and sitting in nature and connecting with the outside and realizing that there's much more to this life than these current things we are feeling right now. What I'm not here to do is to shame you if your relationship is ending after you have a baby. You're not alone. You know your relationship. I mean, I've heard some people say, like, if you're going to talk about relationships, you need to say, like, God hates divorce. Hey, we hate divorce. Divorce sucks. It's so expensive and so painful and so emotional. And it's what a lot of us are doing. In fact, like half of us are doing that. And so I'm not here to make anybody feel bad if that's the story that you're living inside of. But if you're in a stage where you're like, I don't really want this relationship to end, but I'm feeling kind of like, is it inevitable? Are we just not going to make it through? What I would like to say to you is, I don't think it's inevitable. If this is somebody that you really love and you can see a future with, try to remind your heart of why you got together in the first place, and do whatever you need to do to be healthy again as a couple, and know that you are so not alone. So many people go through hard times, especially when it comes to having new babies and you're stretched thin and you're not having sex probably. There are other ways we can be intimate, but especially in that period where you just had your baby, your body isn't even capable. You're trying to find other ways to feel connected to one another, but also all priorities have shifted because this new baby's here and you guys are both crazy about this little one, and maybe you're feeling a little dazed and confused. It's all normal. You are doing such a good job. You're not bad at this. It's going to get easier, and I really believe in you. I feel like if I can do any of this, you can do all of it, because this is not stuff that has come very easily or naturally to me, and I'm figuring it out. And that's, I think, why I would make videos, is just that I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but as I learn, it's very specific, so I'm able to share with you the stuff I think, and I'm sure you even have better advice. So if you have tips or advice or something you've gone through and you want to share with other couples, leave that advice in the comments. I would love to see what you have to say. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you so much, and I will see you soon. Okay, bye.